والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وآله وصحبه وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين. Okay, I think we stopped here last time. So today's political economic theory is typically one of two sorts. In the first, capitalism is reduced to a reified economy, conceived as the wealth creation machine, one that functions according to distinctive laws of nature, esoteric enough to require a specialized natural science economics. Politics operates on the economy from outside as if it were a black box, making it produce desired outputs by providing it with right inputs. So that's the first. Obviously, is caricaturing it to a certain extent, but he's trying to make his point. In the second, rather than an inert object of some or less adept technical manipulations, the economy appears as a producing inputs for politics in the form of competing group of interests, preferably presenting themselves as functional imperatives of efficient economic management that need to be politically adjusted. Neither of these approaches, I claim, does justice to the nature of contemporary capitalism, if only because the borderline between capitalist society and capitalist economy is not as fixed as they assume, and indeed is subject to continuous contestation. A capitalist society, or a society that is inhabited by the capital economy. Okay, let's look at these points first. So he's saying political economic theory today is of two sorts. And he's going to criticize both of them. One sees economy something technical. Doesn't have anything to do with politics. You don't have, because it's the domain of natural science. Economics is a natural science, and economics discovers the laws of economy, and if those laws are adhered to, then economy works well. If they aren't adhered to and they are interfered with, then obviously economy doesn't work. So probably the best thing is politics shouldn't interfere in economy. Probably economy doesn't work or well or optimally, or because politics, there is a political intervention in something which is technical. So you wouldn't ask politicians to tell us how physical laws works. For that you consult physicists. So economy is something similar according to this view. Okay. So today a political economic theory is today a political economic theory is typically one of two sorts. In the first, capitalism is reduced to a reified economy, conceived as a wealth creation machine, one that functions according to distinctive laws of nature, esoteric enough to require a specialized natural science economics. So politics operates on economy from outside as if it were a black box, making it produce desired outputs by providing it with right input. Okay. The same idea is put forth by Streak in slightly different terms. So economy is like a wealth creation machine. And this wealth creation machine requires a specialized science called economics. And economics so it's an expertise. So for example, you want to fix your car, you go to a mechanic. Now how much you want to spend, that's a political matter. Then according to that, the mechanic would fix things accordingly. Similarly, politics in this view, according to Street, politics sort of determine inputs. What do you want to achieve? And then experts will tell you with those inputs what outputs you can get, I guess. So that's the basic idea. That's the first sort of theory. That's the economics, treating economics as semi-natural science, at least semi-natural science, if not natural science as such. And it's something technical, and experts need to be consulted. Politics decides the goals, but how to achieve those goals, or even whether those goals are economically realizable or rational, I guess would be decided by economists. Now the second one, then so in the second, rather than inert object of more or less adept technical manipulation, the economy appears as producing inputs for politics in the form of competing group interests, preferably presenting themselves as functional imperatives of efficient economic management that need to be politically adjudicated. So the second stream is, so the second one is not that clear, so we will try to unpack it a bit more carefully. In the second one, so economy is not fully rather than an inert object of more or less adept technical manipulation, the economy appears as a producing input for. So economy is not wealth creation machine. The economy is not a machine, but more like more, or if it is a machine, it's not a machine which works on the model of classical mechanics. Rather, it's a work on the model of quantum mechanics, let's say. So it's a probabilistic machine which throws competing possibilities at you. So in the first one, politics was providing inputs and the economy was outputs according to those inputs. But in this one, economy or economic providing inputs, competing inputs, and politics decides output through competition between, and these inputs are in the form of competing group interests that need to be negotiated at the level of politics rather than at the level of. So in both, economy is providing sort of basic in both economies providing a basic model, but the first model is more like classical physics, and the second model is more like quantum physics, where you have more than one possibilities, and in the second one, politics plays more proactive role, I guess, and that's a competition. Politics become economic competition between different interest groups, and depending on that, so the economic players are the producing inputs in the form of competing, probably presenting themselves as functional, impaired, efficient economic that need to be politically adjudicated. So there are more than one competing possible interests or policy paths which need to be politically adjudicated, but they are presented as imperative, functional imperative of political economic management, efficient economic management, and politics then need to adjudicate between those competing interest groups. And once they have chosen those inputs, I guess then economics can tell you what the outputs would be. So the model for the first one is deterministic laws of economic, natural laws of economics. And the second one is more like device for efficient economic management, and politics become, here politics is tool of this efficient economic management. In the first one, politics is deciding the inputs and economy is giving the outputs, but economics tells you, I guess, if it can tell you what output would be for an input, then ultimately it will dictate politics in a roundabout way as well. Okay, now he doesn't like any of these, neither of these approaches I claim does, just to the nature of contemporary capitalism. So obviously economic theory describes or tries to describe how the reality is. But if theory is not correct, then it won't depict the reality correctly. So if only because the borderline between capitalist society and capital economy are not fixed as they assume. In the first one, that's for input. In the second one, and indeed it's subject to continuous contestation it's still the boundary itself is political. A capitalist society. I think let's stop here and we'll continue from here next time. A capitalist society. Okay.